Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 63 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. We are hyped up. We are amped up. Why? Because it is time for your weekly dose of positivity. We hope you guys are happy to be here, because I know I am. Are you happy to be here, man?
I'm always happy. You guys know that I'm always happy to be here.
Man, the vibes are good. Today has been a very, very busy day, and I'm going to say it's been a busy week. But it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm having a blast with life right now. Positivity, all-time high. I mean, let's be honest. I try to stay positive no matter what. That's like the whole point of this channel in the first place. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good after today.
I'm really sorry,
Why?
man, because I actually have to bring down the mood of this episode for a second now.
What?
I gotta issue a formal apology, actually.
Oh, no.
Last episode, we recorded and we uploaded a reel just today about how important it is to spend time with your friends and to go out. I regret to inform you guys that I recorded that episode instead of going out with one of my friends. So I have to apologize formally. My boy Denzel, I know you're going to be watching this. This is my formal apology for not going out that day. I preach the advice, but sometimes even I don't take it always. So I just had to get that out of the way. But now the vibes are back. And guess what? It has been a busy week. It has been a busy life, actually.
Shout out the goat Denzel, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out my guy. Special shout out. But got a lot to talk about on this episode, guys. Really stick around to the end. I think that there's a lot of things I at least want to really go through. Some very beautiful things that I want to go through. Mm-hmm. But usually I kick things off with talking about how I am. Mm-hmm. So I want to switch things up a little bit. How have you been doing, and how has your week been?
Ooh, buddy. Let me get into it, man. It's kind of been crazy. And it's interesting because once you get into university, one thing you realize is it's so hard to catch a break. I'd actually say it's not really possible to catch a break in university until the semester's done. That's when really you can take your foot off the gas. And obviously I'm further into my education than I'd say like a lot of people who probably watch this channel. But man, I mean, it's just one of those things that it's almost tough to get used to. Like, no matter what, there's just always stuff to pile up and stuff to get to. There's always more things on the to-do list. And some of those things slip through the cracks. But this week, man, this week's been crazy. I had a midterm last week on Friday. And for those of you wondering, this is being recorded on a Friday. So last week on Friday, I had a midterm. And I'd spent the entire week studying that week. The following Wednesday, so 2 days ago, I had a midterm. Today I had a midterm, which I'm going to get into as well. And then I have another one next week on Wednesday. So it is crazy. And then stacking all that up with work and then the podcast, of course, it's been a very crazy day. And that's a crazy week, rather. And that's one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about on this episode is how do you really manage a busy life? Because I feel like we talk about it every once in a while about managing it. But it's one of those things that you kind of learn more about as you get into the troughs and the waves of being busy. The more things you add on, the better you learn to deal with it. And I feel like that's just something we got to talk about because you're not a very, I don't want to say, I guess a free time guy. You're always on the go too. These past couple of weeks have been insanely busy for you as well. So I'm going to let you talk about your experience as well. But in terms of my experience over the past week, man, it was just studying for a midterm, do the midterm. Study for the next one, do the next one. Assignments in the middle. By the way, I don't know if I explained this on one of the previous episodes, but man, my nose is like cooked. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm dying or something. Oh. But my psych class, where I had a midterm, I got my grade back, and I will never forget the horror I had on my face as I saw my average drop from a 95 to a 55 from my grade coming back for that exam. And I was like, I swear I thought I got like 100% on that exam. What just happened? And then I check, and it says I got an 8 out of 60 on my multiple choice. So I was like, the numbers are not numbering here. So I go talk to my prof. I'm like, yo, did you guys can my exam or something? Like, what happened here? And he was like, let me take a look. It's a possibility that something went wrong. They, in fact, placed my multiple choice sheet in the wrong pile and graded it on the wrong rubric. So I only got 8 right. Somehow I got 8 questions right still by chance, but, whatever. Point is, they regraded it, so that was a big win for me. Studied hard, crushed the second psych exam, which feels pretty good. Other 2 exams were a bit tougher, but overall, I'd say the week has been good. Like, it's been busy, but it's good. I feel good. And that's one of the things you got to realize, man. If you're someone who has a very busy schedule and you're kind of in your own headspace, you're negative because you feel so stressed out, you just got to understand that, yeah, it's busy right now, but when you get through it, you feel really good. You feel really good. It's something you can speak about for sure.
I would say, like, genuinely speaking on it, it's not even, for me personally, it's not even when I'm done you can learn. I think things become clearer. That enjoyment becomes clearer once you're done, but you can still find it in the midst of whatever you're doing. So currently I'm working on a stock pitch, and for those of you that don't know, it's kind of a big thing in like the investment banking world, the idea of like pitching a stock and, all that. I am not a finance person. I'm going to business school and I'm not a big finance person. I'm not really much of a business person, actually. I think I'm just a well-spoken individual who likes the idea of entrepreneurship, and like I like the idea of the business world, but I don't have much prior knowledge on it. And now I'm going into these pitches competing with people that have years of experience knowing finance, and I don't know anything. So I'm a complete idiot compared to half of these people. But the one thing I've learned is that you can teach yourself anything. And I spent countless hours just researching and learning and using ChatGPT genuinely to actually help me understand what these topics mean, and it's working. And the truth is, I'm putting in countless hours, and there will be times where I go down an entire rabbit hole learning some concept, and then I realize that it's not even useful for me. But to me, it doesn't even feel like time wasted because I just learned something new. And the idea is, if you can draw something new from the events of your life, they become so much more enjoyable because it's an idea of novelty. Every time that something new comes in your life, that's when life gets interesting. Because if you think about it, when you do something enough times, you become bored of it. That's reality. Like, people say, oh, stay disciplined and keep doing it every day. That's important. But if you do it every day and you just hate yourself for it, what's it really worth? If you're genuinely miserable every day of your life doing something, then what's it really worth? And the idea is you have to find a way to make it new. Think about it. Studying is literally something new every single time that you do it. You look at new materials, you remember different things, you can see things in different ways. Studying changes every single time that you do it. It's up to you to find that sense of novelty that makes something interesting. So my advice to any people out there that are busy is, if you can't find time to enjoy it, make time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or make that time enjoyable. All that time that you spend working, make it fun, man. That's the issue, is that if you think about it, nobody tells you how you have to feel about something. Mm-hmm. It's all up to you. So even the worst task can be looked at in a positive light. Yeah. And you can really enjoy being a busy person.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the cool thing about it. Being busy is something that many people associate with a bad life because they think that, oh, I'm busy, so I don't get the time to do all the things that I enjoy, right? But in reality, man, you have a very fulfilling life. Look at all these people who sit at home doing nothing. Like, all they do is watch TV or play games. I've met people like that, and I can see that they are relatively unsatisfied with their life. So what a blessing and a gift it is to be busy. I feel like most of us have seen those videos where it's like, what a truly beautiful life I have to be able to wash dishes after having a big meal. How grateful should I be for the fact that I get to go to this school early in the morning and learn new things every single day? Yes, inherently there are other things that are cool, for sure. There will always be the next big thing that is more entertaining than what you have right now. Mm-hmm. But man, if you stop for a second and you really appreciate what you got, your life pops with color that you never saw before. It just becomes so much more enjoyable. What is the point in sitting here living a dull and gray life because you think, man, I gotta go to school, I gotta go to work? Nah, man, be happy. You get to go out there and do this new thing. And this is one huge thing for me. When it comes to managing a busy life, I feel like it's kind of imperative for us to give a bit of qualifications because some people might not really understand the whole story about us, because I've realized that our viewership has gone up a fair amount in recent times. So thank you guys to all the new people sticking around in the channel. We appreciate you. But to all those people who don't really know anything about us, I want you to give your qualifications. What are some of the things that you are doing right now that has made your life extremely busy? Run through your week, let's say.
Of course. So the main things, I think I break them down. First off is school. So in school, I'd say I divide my time into 3 categories. 1 is academics, 2 is ACE, and 3rd is case competitions. So First off, school. I'm taking 5 classes right now. Pretty full schedule, and yeah, you got to put in. That's just kind of how it is. You got to put in a lot of effort doing 5 classes and actually do well. I'm trying my best to obviously maintain like high GPA because that's important to me. Second is ACE, as you guys know. I'm actually repping the merch right now.
Repping the ACE merch.
You already know, but I'm a logistics coordinator, so I work in logistics and event planning, and right now we're hosting some events, so a lot of work at the current moment in time. But at the end of the day, it's just constantly just working on little things over and over, and then every time an event rolls around, we get a lot of heavy work that we got to do, so that takes up a lot of time, especially right now. Right now is a critical time for me. And then finally is case competitions, man. I am a fiend for a good case competition. I don't think people understand how much I love case competing. And to any of you guys out there, by some chance, if some of you guys watching are business students and you're interested in the business world, it doesn't matter what field, I would highly suggest go and look out for case comps. Because first off, great opportunity to meet people. And secondly, they develop more than just like your knowledgeability. Obviously, you get to learn more about the business world by doing them, but you really get to build up a lot of other skills that are critical for the rest of your life as a business student. Learning how to do analysis, how to provide recommendations, implementations, understanding finances. That's all stuff you get from that, and I think it's a great opportunity. Any of you business students out there. But for me personally, I try to go for everything that I can, even the ones where I'm completely underqualified for. The current competition I'm doing, I am nowhere near qualified for it. I should not even be touching this competition with a 10-foot pole. And I've been told that. But I still try it because, to me, I want to put myself out there for every single opportunity that I possibly can. Because why not make an effort?
Yeah.
And again, to me, this is very fulfilling. I enjoy every second of it. Every single second I spend working on a case comp is genuinely such a happy moment for me, especially once like things start to come together, and then I get to like look at it in full, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so beautiful, and I'm so proud of myself. That's my school side, and then for the personal side, obviously, I've been finally getting back into going to the gym, which is amazing. Going 4 times a week, and then we record twice a week as well, and I still do have time where at home I play hockey, I play the piano, I still enjoy my time as well. I do fall victim to a doom scroll here and there and some Brawl Stars, but I'm only human, I think that about sums up my busy life. And I want you guys to understand that I think that we all overestimate how busy we are. Like, I genuinely think I have a decent amount of free time that I just don't notice very much because, like, sometimes I just, like, I waste time because that's something that we'll definitely talk about further in a moment. Yeah. But, okay, that's the breakdown of mine. Let's dive into yours.
Yeah, well, for me, there are several factors that really contribute. Obviously, school is one huge factor for me because I am a biochemistry major, so a lot of my courses are very demanding mentally. Learning a lot of these concepts takes a lot of studying. It's much more how much time you put in really correlates to how much you learn, because learning all the nuances of the different protein structures, how they interact with each other, all these different things on a molecular level really takes a lot of time to learn. So it's very, very time heavy and demanding. And I'm taking 4 of those classes right now. Well, 3 biochem classes and a psych class. So that's pretty busy. Pair that with some volunteering work that I got going on right now. That's another thing that's starting to take up some time. And then on top of that, you add work where I'm working typically 26 hours a week typically. So that's also a big portion of what I do. And there's a lot of stuff outside of work that I do for the store as well. And then obviously you have the podcast, the recording, and I do a lot of the editing for the videos that we put up every single day. And then there's also the MCAT prep, which is coming up for me as well. So that's kind of a huge, huge monumental task that I have ahead of me that I haven't really spoke about much as I haven't gotten well into it yet, as I still have a bit of time. So I'll address that in a couple of episodes, I guess. But yeah, man, I mean, my life is very, very busy. And then obviously add the gym onto that as well. It's a very hectic schedule. There's a lot going on. There's many moving parts to it. And managing it all at once isn't always easy. But I'll tell you what, man, you got to find a way. You can find a way. That's the biggest thing. For me, step number 1, and this is one thing I've been thinking about when talking about managing your time. Step number 1 is always believe you can. Believe you can. I don't care what the odds are. Look at me right now, man. I don't care what task you have. I don't care how busy your life is. Your belief in yourself has to be unwavering. Unwavering. 100%. You cannot doubt yourself and say, there's no way I can handle all of this. It's important to acknowledge what you can do to the best of your ability and produce good work. I'm not saying take on 50 tasks and do them all abysmally because you believe in yourself. No. What I am saying is take on how much you need to do. Push yourself and believe in yourself. And that's the first step. Once you believe it in your own mind, you'll be able to find new ways to do it because you'll be able to approach every single situation looking for an answer because you know there is one, rather than saying there's a chance this question doesn't have an answer. And then you get stuck because you immediately going into it said, hey, there's a chance I might not do this. Nah, man, if you believe in yourself immediately from the get-go, you know there's a way to do this. I just got to figure it out.
Absolutely. And another thing that I think people don't realize is that, or I guess they do, but you have to make an effort. That's a thing that a lot of people don't seem to do is they expect everything to kind of just come to them. And this is something that I want you guys to know is I firmly believe that every person on this earth deserves great things. I think every single person on this earth deserves great things. But you have to work for the opportunity to receive great things. And this is why I say it. There's a reason that I say you deserve great things. It's so that people understand to not be discouraged when you make an effort and it doesn't work out. I'd say take myself as a case example. I try to live as positive as I can every single day. Believe it or not, the person that I am on this camera is who I try to be every single day. Yet I still get mad sometimes. I still get sad sometimes. Things happen to me. Bad things happen to me. But I don't sit there and ask myself, oh, I've been such a good person. Why did this bad stuff happen to me? I say, in due time, better things are going to come around. But I have to keep putting that effort forward. Because if I give up on being that person, on putting in that effort, that's when you lose the opportunity to really get the great things. So if you think your time is busy and you're not willing to put in an effort, then no wonder things aren't working out and you feel really stressed. That's reality. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you got to make an effort, guys. You got to really put your foot forward and try, genuinely try to make things work, to make the time, and to make it all align. Because at the end of the day, if you're not making an effort, whatever you deserve isn't going to come to you.
Yeah, let me give you a perfect example. You walk up to the fridge and you're looking for the ketchup. You can't find the ketchup. You go, Mom, do we not have any more ketchup? She's like, did you check the fridge? And you say, yeah, I checked the fridge. It's not there. She's like, I swear to God, if I come down there, I look in the fridge and the ketchup's there, I'm gonna be mad. And you're like, it's impossible. The ketchup is not there. I swear. She walks in there. She looks in the fridge for 3 seconds and magically it's there.
They summon it.
They summon it. But what I'm saying is, man, you said it was impossible 3 seconds ago. Don't you dare tell me anything is impossible. She just showed you it's possible, man. And now, obviously, is it a very simple example? Yeah, 100% it's simple. I'm not going to say that finding a bottle of ketchup in the fridge is the same as getting into medical school or starting a business, but the principle remains. What you just said was not doable. Somebody walked in and in 3 seconds solved that problem that you immediately gave up on. Whereas if you had kind of rummaged around for a little bit longer, taken a look a little harder, focused a little bit more seriously, you probably would have found the ketchup. Life is the exact same way. Find the ketchup, man. Don't sit there and give up because you look for a couple seconds and it's not there. No, man. Not everything is going to be plain, like plainly visible. That's why things are worth doing, because they're hard. There's this guy on Instagram. I don't remember his exact name. I'll probably plug the profile in here. You guys can go follow him. I strongly suggest you do. He's a insanely jacked and good-looking bodybuilder who is also a student at Harvard. So he has the time to balance both education and physical activity. And he talks so much about when things get tough, what you need to tell yourself. That this is the place where, you know, a lot of people don't take that extra step. This is the place where a lot of people give up. I don't want to be like that. I want to keep going. I want to earn the life that I deserve. And all these things that he does, He's super jacked. He's a good student at Harvard. He has a good career lined up for him. He has hundreds of thousands, I believe, of followers on Instagram. All that stuff came to him not because he kind of sat there and was like, dude, this is hard. I don't know if I can do this. He said, no, I'm just going to give it 100%. I know I can do it. And then over time, things picked up. So you just got to believe in yourself, man, and just get out there and try to manage it the best you can. The other thing that you mentioned that I was really resonating with is when you said, I still think I have free time. I still think that there are moments in my day where I'm not being as productive because you have the occasional doom scroll or the occasional Brawl Stars and whatnot. One thing that really helps you with that, and this is my second point, is being present. Understanding time on a new level. One person that you guys should definitely check out is Jesse Itzler. Most of you should know who that is. If you don't, he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He talks a lot about his experience living with David Goggins for a month, where, you know, they ran in freezing rain, jumped in ice cold lakes and crazy stuff like that. One thing that most people don't know is he actually went and lived with the monks for 15 days. Notice how he could only stay with the monks for half the time he spent with David Goggins? That means spending those 15 days in complete silence doing nothing is harder than running hundreds of miles, jumping in ice-cold lakes, and putting yourself through extreme suffering. There are two different kinds of difficulty. But I think that most people who think they could do it really can't. Because let me ask you this. A lot of you guys see these videos online where it's like one of those asylum rooms where it's just straight white walls, like puffy, like padded walls, soundproof pretty much. You have to sit in this room for 1 year for $10 billion. Can you do it? So many people in the comments say, that's light work, bro. Just give me some food and I'm good. You guys can't sit there for 10 minutes with your own thoughts without going on your phone. You can't sit there and just be calm for a minute. A lot of you can't sit there with your own thoughts. How do you expect to be able to do that for a year? And there's a reason why. It's not easy. It really isn't. So you got to practice it. You got to intentionally do it. It's not one of those things that you can accidentally stumble upon. It's something you learn through intentional hard work. Meditation. I talk about it a decent amount. I wouldn't say I'm yapping about it every single episode. I'm not like no hate to any vegans or anything, but I'm not like one of those vegans where they're like, you got to try it. It will change your life. Trust me. Just give veganism
Why did
a
the
try.
Vegans just catch a stray? Like for literally no reason.
No,
You
it's
could've
exactly what.
anything.
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. It's exactly how Joe Rogan described yoga. He said, yoga is such an amazing experience. It really helps your body, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't want to sound like one of those crazy vegan people who are like, you got to try it, man. It'll change your life, blah, 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 blah. So I was just kind of using his analogy.
Okay, like that's we do not hate you guys, vegan people.
That's why I said no hate to vegans, bruh.
I mean, all right, it was an unnecessary stray in my opinion.
It was not a stray.
Completely an unnecessary.
It was not a
stray.
stray. I said, did I say crazy? I don't know if I said crazy, but
You definitely said crazy.
Crazy vegans, that there's like two different sides to
Just
this.
continue, man.
Buddy,
Just continue.
I swear, I got no animosity towards vegans, okay? Don't, you're making me look bad. Making me look bad.
Continue.
Anyways, point is, I talk about it enough that you guys should know. Give it a try for like a month. Well, even a month might be a bit of a long time for a lot
Dude,
of
try
people
for a
these
day. That's what you should
Yeah,
say.
you know what?
Like, okay.
But I feel like you don't learn enough in a day. I feel like you should give it some time. Maybe a week. I say a week is a good amount of time.
This is what I wanted to say. It's literally, I talked about this literally probably an hour ago, or maybe 2 hours ago. But we were sitting at our dinner table eating, and I told this guy like, oh, he was complaining he only slept 3 hours last night because he was up studying, and I was like, hey man, me too. He's like, why didn't you sleep? And I was like, for me, I can't sleep when I have open thoughts, meaning that I've thought about something that I haven't figured out. I don't sleep until I figure it out. I need to sleep with closed ends. So I'll stay up and listen, I'm operating off, 3 hours of sleep and I'm completely like, okay, because my body will stay up and it'll be like, hey man, like it's just in the back of my mind, just sitting there. Like, it's like that little itch in the back of your head that's just like, hey, whoa, don't forget I'm here. You actually don't know what's going on with me. And I just keep thinking about it. And then I try to go to sleep. But then every time I go to sleep, that little itch comes back like, hey, you didn't solve me, buddy. And I'm like, well, damn it, I got to go back and solve it. A lot of you out there, I think, might struggle from the same thing, where there's a lot of unanswered questions that you live with, And instead of choosing to address them, you choose to ignore them. And what do? You go on your phone until your body can't handle staying up anymore, and then finally it falls asleep. I think if you took a moment and like genuinely, I think your meditation could be in your bed. People are always trying to, oh yeah, go sit in a field, go ground yourself in some grass. That's not necessary, man. Meditation isn't about the physical part of it. Obviously, there's physical benefits to it, but it's about the mind at the end of the day, right? So why not start? I think it's definitely important to work up to an environment that's not necessarily perfectly conducive to it, to really test your ability to be in that, kind of state of being present. But why not start with something so easy? Something you do every day. You sleep every day. So to those of you out there that struggle with sleeping, maybe you can relate to what I go through, where I can't sleep until I've closed my thoughts. And try it. Think about like what's keeping me up right now? What is making me angry? What is making me sad? What is making me feel unpleasant? And then just take it back. Genuinely, this was so cool. Is I just broke down my feelings and what I was feeling that night, and like I just took it step by step. I was like, okay, I feel this. Why do I feel it? And then I went here. And then I was like, okay, why do I feel this? Because of this. Why do I feel this? Because of this. And then slowly, little by little, I just got to the root of it. And then I realized I can't even do anything about this problem.
Damn.
All of that. It took me 3 hours of thinking to finally bring myself to that point. And that's when I realized I can't even solve it right now.
Now, I feel like there's a bunch of people who could probably relate to you, but to those of you who also like can't relate to him because they don't break down their thoughts, just so you know, you're not alone. I'm not as critical of my thoughts as he is. I will be 100% honest. No matter what stresses I have the day of, I don't know if you could really call it a gift because I don't analyze things as hard, I guess, in that sense. But second I hit the bed, I'm out. I'm out, man. I am tired and I'm ready to go for the next day. That's really what it is. So to those of you who are overthinkers, I feel like that's the cool dynamic about us. I feel like we have a lot of similar experiences because we grew up in very similar environments, well, essentially the same environment.
Yeah, exactly.
But we still have very differing perspectives because our brains still work differently.
Exactly. And I think people need to find comfort in that. And like, again, I think it's a little bit off topic, but the idea of comparison, like guys, you don't need to always compare yourself to other people. Don't feel bad because you're not the way that somebody else is. And actually, I saw a quote, and I thought it was really cool. It's flowers are pretty, and so are sunsets, yet they look nothing alike. And I think it's so cool because like everybody wants to put everything on an objective scale and say that this person's better because of this person's better because of this, but we're all just beautiful in our own ways, man. So love your flaws, man. That's part of life. You're not perfect, and that's okay. But more importantly, to the overthinkers out there, take the time to, break it down, because I think that everybody that's just like, oh, yeah, go sit cross-legged and just breathe, that's going to make you feel better. Not really, man. The reason that you have a hard time doing it is because you have so many open thoughts, things that you just haven't really wrapped up. But the truth is, a lot of them could be wrapped up quickly. You just need to put in an effort, a little bit of effort to really break it down. And I would say the best way that I've done it is approaching it from a logical stance. Just be so critical of it. Just be like, why am I feeling this? Just why? And just why your way to the very beginning. And then you'll be like, damn, this isn't even a big deal. That's what I've realized as I've thought out almost every single problem in my life. What I've realized is I am blowing out of proportion this problem, and I'm making it so much bigger than it is. Or I can't even do anything about this problem now.
So why are you stressing?
Exactly. Let go of your stress, man. Free yourself, because at the end of the day, it's a useless emotion.
And that's the thing. In your brain, it's such a complex thing to be able to control. So I'll tell you guys my strategy for being able to do this. I like to find 10 minutes during my day, typically in the morning after I've wrapped up a couple hours of studying, to clear my mind before moving on to the next task. I like to sit on the floor in my bedroom. During the summertime, I'll sit on the balcony because our balcony outlooks this nice green area and the pond is flowing. So it's a very, very zen environment. That's really the best way to describe it. But most of the time, man, that's not the case. I live in British Columbia. It's raining half the time. So
Okay, it's a very beautiful province, though.
it's a... man, you know what the crazy
But
thing is?
take a second there.
I had to really like soak it in, man. I love BC so much. In my opinion, biased answer, but still, I feel like most people would agree that BC is probably the best province in Canada. Just so much diversity in terms of landscape, so many beautiful features, so many great places to be. Regardless, tangent aside,
tangent.
point is, I'll sit on the floor in my bed, sit on the floor in my bedroom, and I'll set a timer on my. I like to use my Apple Watch. I won't wear it. I'll usually like leave it on the floor next to me or something, just so that nothing's really touching me. I'll turn off my phone and either leave it in a different room or on the table, and I'll just sit there for 10 minutes, nothing. Eyes closed, cross-legged, hands on my like legs, and I don't like to think. If my mind wanders in thought, I will try to slowly bring it back to thinking about nothing. But the way I like to do this meditation process to clear my head and think about nothing is I focus on a diagram of a human breathing. So as a pre-med student, I'm kind of always looking at the human body that way. So when I'm sitting there inhaling, the first thought is, okay, I see, the rib cage propping up, lungs filling with air. And then as I exhale, I see the contraction and all that happening. So that just mental visualization of inhale, exhale. I just cycle through that for 10 minutes and my mind just whoosh, clear.
You realize that's thinking about something, right? That's not thinking.
Well, no, it is thinking about something, but limiting myself to one single thought for 10 minutes is already a good way to say I'm thinking about nothing in essence, just because there's no other thoughts clouding my head. Either way, I feel like that was a bit of a long segment just to talk about meditation.
I mean, I think the one thing I did want to just to top it off,
for
was
sure.
that I think that I always actually struggled with meditation for that reason. Actually, was that like I couldn't just sit on one thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's but I think this is something that I've thought about as a kid too. So I don't think it was my attention span being fried from reels, because
No.
we did not grow up on screens very much. Like,
And
too
even,
much.
let's
Yeah.
be honest though, even now, our attention span is miles ahead of the average, I'd say.
Okay, let's calm down now.
You have that little faith in yourself.
I don't know. I think like I choose not to really judge other people or anything, and like I don't really see it that way. I
Taking
choose not to
the
compare.
moral high ground
I
here.
choose not to compare myself to other people personally.
Okay,
So,
that was not necessarily my point. My point was more so to say, like, okay, let's say on average, how much time do you spend scrolling on Reels in a day?
I don't know. Like
An
have
hour?
no clue. Maybe more, maybe a little bit more. But like
Reminds me
I
of that clip where it's like, how many times do you think you did that? A lot. 10, 20, 500 probably. Like something like that. That's exactly
I
what
think-
I
okay.
was thinking about.
I just want to just to top off meditation.
Yeah.
One last thought was that like I think that some people need to focus on something because their mind is like scattered. As in it's like you need to bring all the pieces together. But then I think there's another group of people, and I think this is where I fall in, is where my brain is together, but my thoughts are like
All over the place.
all over the place and broken. So it's like an opposite effect where I need to kind of bring those thoughts in to calm myself versus bringing your brain in. on
Okay.
one thing, you know what mean?
I think what you're trying to say is, for like my group of people, let's say, you have the brain and you have all these thoughts already inside, kind of all going all over the place inside your brain, and they're like there. For them to calm down, you want to kind of push those thoughts out for a minute and find silence. But for
I think
you wanna
okay,
pull
like
them
if we
in.
think about a diagram, right?
Okay.
So imagine you have like the brain. This is like the brain, okay?
Okay.
And inside the brain there are a bunch of thoughts, okay? So
Okay.
for your people, the brain is a little disconnected. Like it feels a little bit like it's thinking about so many like other things. But there's a lot of cohesive thoughts in there. There's so many cohesive thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts that are fleshed out. So the way that you bring back that brain is by focusing on one like anchor point thought. So for you, your anchor point is, that lung diagram. And that's what brings your brain to that point of like calmness. But other people naturally have that state of calmness, but then they have all these floaty stuff going on around here. And then they're like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And to focus on one thing, it's like chasing that thought everywhere. And that's not effective. But to rather focus on where those thoughts are like coming from, so the base of those problems, I think like this diagram is really terrible, and I feel like this isn't illustrating my point very well.
I
but
get what you mean.
I think it's
though.
just they're two different schools of thought.
Yeah.
right? They're just two different ways of doing it. And I think that's the beauty in it, is that there's multiple ways to do it. And there's multiple ways that you can do it. So if things don't work out for you one way, it could be my way, it could be his way. Maybe neither of ours work.
Yeah.
But make your own, because you're free to do that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, man. Do you. You just find the way that works best for you. Our job here is just to kind of tell you, hey, this is what we did. This is how we became more positive. This is how we got happier and we lived our life. I can't speak for the rest of y'all. I can only speak for me. And that's one of the main anchor points for this, content creation journey I'm on. Because one thing that I hear a lot on the internet, especially when I listen to this one episode of Joe Rogan's podcast with David Goggins, which I probably say way too many times, but realistically, I listen to that episode anytime I'm in a rut, just because hearing somebody else go through adversity and triumph gives me the same inspiration, motivation that I need to get through it. Yes, I'm disciplined 99% of the time, but that 1% where I really need a boost, that's what I listen to. And one thing he talks about is how much content creation has become saturated with people who just want to get likes, people who just want to say something that clicks with the audience, people who are just trying to become famous. For me, that's not what I want to come off as, because that's not who I am. Who I am is someone who tries to figure things out the way that I lived it, the way that I got through my problems. And that's the best story, right? And think about it. You and me are here sitting here rationalizing the brain, trying to talk about why we're different and why meditation is harder for you in certain senses and why we approach it differently. That's not a poser mentality. That's an actual scientific approach to figuring out a problem. So I thought that was kind of a cool little factoid, I guess, about us. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to get to today, aside from just kind of managing a busy life, do you have like a thought here? Or
Dude,
something?
wait. I just wanted to tell you, because there was something I really wanted to talk about on this episode.
Dude,
and I think it kind of connected back to the idea of busyness. And the main topic is celebrating the little wins, okay? Mm-hmm. I think it's so important, and people don't understand how valuable those little wins are, and as well as how to make them more valuable. And for that, I bring to you guys...
He's got a prop or something. What is going on here?
A book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. Now, I haven't finished reading this book. I'm reading it, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. For those of you that don't know, this book outlines the life of a Holocaust survivor. And he tells his story and what really separated him from many of the people in the camp. And furthermore, he also showed how hope is one of the things that really got him through this terrible time. Now, I want to read to you guys a part of it, because I read this and I just thought it was so beautiful that I didn't even see. I could have wrote it on my phone, but instead I documented the page because I wanted to read directly from the book for you guys, because I think it's really beautiful, and I'm going to elaborate on it more. But as you guys know, the story takes place, everything happening right now is happening in a concentration camp. So currently he's in a concentration camp, working in labor with a bunch of other men, but being treated terribly, obviously. But I'm going to read out to you guys this little excerpt from it, okay? So he says, "One evening, when we were already resting on the floor of our hut, dead tired, soup bowls in hand, a fellow prisoner rushed in and asked us to run out to the assembly grounds and see a wonderful sunset. Standing outside, we saw sinister clouds glowing in the west and the whole sky alive with clouds of ever-changing shapes and colors, from steel blue to blood red. The desolate gray mud huts provided a sharp contrast, while the puddles on the muddy ground reflected the glowing sky. Then after minutes of moving silence, one prisoner said to another, 'How beautiful the world could be.'" Imagine the fact that a man just said how beautiful the world could be in a concentration camp. In possibly the worst situation a human being could ever find himself in, a man said how beautiful the world could be. Think about that. These people are going through possibly the worst thing, if not the worst thing a human being can go through. Genuine torture, wondering, is my family alive? Is my family okay? Are they gone? I'm probably going to die soon too. Genuine despair. And yet they could smile over a sunset. And you mean to tell me in your life you can't find a smile? think about the fact that to them, it didn't have to be freedom. It didn't need to be getting completely saved. That idea, that concept was so far that they found happiness in a sunset. They found happiness in a sky when they were genuinely believing that they were about to die. And to me, man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I love, and I love about this book, is that whenever you read about, the Holocaust and a lot of these terrible events in history, we always hear about how terrible they are because that's what it was. But to hear it from somebody saying that there were even moments where we smiled, to me, that's beautiful, man. The fact that there is a ability to find happiness in tragedy. And all of that stems from hope, from believing that things can get better. If you believe in the small wins, then they will stack up over time. But if you don't, they seem like one-offs. Oh, just one thing happened. It's not going to happen again. My life is still miserable, right? But instead, a person who hopes says, hey, one thing happened, maybe it could happen again. And then it could happen again, and it could happen again. And you see life in a different sense. And this actually takes me back to one of my own personal stories. Now, obviously, I have not been through a concentration camp. I could not really completely relate to this idea.
Shocker.
But the other week, it's going to sound really bad judging by what I'm coming off of, but I lost my AirPods. And I know. Okay, listen, guys. It was quite devastating. I listen to music always.
What do you mean?
I genuinely...
That is devastating.
It is very devastating. I'm always listening to music. Obviously not on the same level, guys. I'm not drawing a comparison completely.
Yeah, don't worry. We get the point.
In that moment, I lost my AirPods, and it had been a couple of days, and I couldn't find them. I had no idea where they were.
Oh, really?
And they had just died, so I thought I didn't have the Find My, because it said it was at the house. Scoured the house. I couldn't find it, so I was like, okay, it's whatever. They're probably somewhere. They'll turn up eventually. And over the next few days, I couldn't find them, and it just sat there in the back of my mind, kind of just, again, like that itch. Just like, oh, don't forget, you still don't have your AirPods. And now, for some reason, I was feeling really upset. And it wasn't about the fact that I lost my AirPods. It was about every other event in my life seemed so miserable. For some reason, everything I looked at, I was just like, this is the worst. This is the worst. I feel like garbage. And then one day you went to work. Get a notification on my phone. Your AirPods have been found in Langley. I was like, what are my AirPods doing in Langley? And I realized they had just been in the car the entire time. In that moment, once I realized that they were just in the car, it seemed like the Lord hath shone upon me. And the skies parted and rays of sun were gleaming down on me. Genuinely, it wasn't the fact that I was like, yes, I found my AirPods. It was that every single thing in my life that I was apparently going wrong seemed beautiful now. It was like genuinely. The second that I noticed that, I took my phone out. I wrote it down immediately because I was like, "How the hell did this just happen?"
Yep.
I was genuinely confused because I was going through some bad event happened at that time. Like genuinely a thing that I saw as a very bad event, and then right after I was like, "Damn, it wasn't that bad," and it's all because I just thought about a little win. All it took was one little win. But yeah, remember, you have to be susceptible to the little wins.
Yep. That's so crazy. That's so crazy because that's exactly what I was going to get into next. Without prompting you at all, you led me exactly to what I was going to talk about next. Because my next thing that I was going to talk about is you cannot be afraid of getting called crazy by other people for what I'm going to say next, okay? Some people will call you crazy. That's just a matter of fact. But I 100% believe that you should take signs from the universe and from God. I might even sound crazy to some of you guys, okay? I'm a literal biochem major. My entire philosophy and area of study is rooted in science and facts and things I can study. And yet, I sit here and I tell you that signs from the universe or signs from God are real. Whichever angle you want to believe it from. And let me tell you a story about this. I was so unbelievably cooked for this midterm today. Let me tell you, horrible, absolutely horrible. In fact, I barely studied anything. There were, let's say, 4 lectures broken down into about 40-ish slides on average each. So you're looking at about 160 slides of detailed biochemistry diagrams and facts, information that you need to fully understand to get through this midterm. I started studying about, I don't even want to say yesterday because I worked for 8 hours, but I barely studied yesterday since I worked. I barely studied the day before. And now let's talk about yesterday when I come home from work at 9:30 p.m. and I've only reviewed the first lecture. There's still 3 more to go. I am cooked. It's over. But what do? I sit down. I'm like, all right, I'm going to stay up for a couple hours and get through as much as I can. So I study. Go to sleep after getting through about 3 out of the 4 lectures. So good. I got through a lot. I wake up and immediately I'm stressed. Number one, I only slept for 3 hours because I slept at like 3:30 and I have to wake up at 6:30 to get to class on time because my exam was at 8:30 in the morning. Good Lord. Wake up at 6:30, get ready. And now immediately the feeling of I'm cooked starts to set in. The feeling of, dude, I didn't study enough. I'm going to fail this midterm. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm like, okay. Let's like try to keep a positive attitude. But no matter what I did, it really was tough. And then I hit the road. We start driving to go to class. And on the way, God hath shone upon me. He showed me signs that you got this. I'm going to give you a perfect like landscape here. Now, for the record, I don't want to say I don't believe in God, but at the moment I am not religious in a sense that I believe in God or worship God or anything like that. I just think that there's a possibility that God exists based on my personal experiences recently and how things have kind of lined up. But I hit the road. Biggest thing for me is the sun. If I see the sun, it's a good day. That's one of the biggest things for me. Every day's a great day, but when the sun is out, it's an extra great day. I'm smiling. Once the sun hits my face, I'm like, yes.
No, to be honest, guys, you should have seen the sky this morning. It was
my God.
bright orange. It was beautiful, but yes.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful scene as I'm driving to school. So that's point number 1. Point number 2, the second we hit the highway, first thing we see, Porsche 911 Turbo S. Beautiful. Then we see a Miami Blue Carrera. Also super, super nice. And then this is where things blew my mind. We saw the Red Bull Mini Cooper. Now, a lot of you guys might not be into cars, so you might not understand how crazy that is. The Red Bull Mini Cooper is a car used for promotional events and stuff like that by Red Bull, and there's only 500 of those in the world. 500. For reference, the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ has about 800-something units. So you're looking at almost half the amount of Red Bull Mini Coopers compared to this insanely expensive Lamborghini.
Isn't that the same? There's like 500 LFAs too, right?
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. You're looking at the same rarity as a Lexus LFA. So, extremely rare car. And I saw it driving past me, and it was almost like a beacon of hope just to say, hey, dude, here's a cool car to cheer you up. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, Red Bull Mini Cooper. What was the first thing I said to you? I said, dude, it's a sign from God. We're about to be blessed. Yeah. I said that right away. As I was driving, I said, it's going to be a good day. And then what happened? My mentality changed. All that dread, all that worry about, hey, I'm going to fail my exam was gone. It was all replaced by, dude, life is good. Life is good. I just enjoyed this dope car ride. I saw cool cars, rare cars. The sun is shining. I got this. Walked into the exam and I did good. I 100% did good. I actually am looking forward to getting my grade back because I know that even with that minimal studying, even with all that dread, just by looking for the couple of little things, like you said earlier, those messages that show up in random places, it made me feel so much better about it. It made me feel happy, and it allowed me to approach it with a new mentality. So don't let other people tell you that you're crazy for believing in that, for believing in these signs. Because if it works for you, it switches your mentality and allows you to be better. Who the hell cares what anybody else has to say, man? I got through that midterm better because I thought about this stuff that a lot of people would call me crazy for. You have to be a bit different. You have to be a bit crazy in the eyes of somebody if you want to accomplish great things. Do you think people find Joe Rogan normal? Do you think people find David Goggins normal? Absolutely not. All these people are crazy in the eyes of most people. And yet, look at where they are. So for you to be successful and be happy, who cares if somebody else says you're crazy for it? As long as you're not harming anybody else or harming yourself, I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to
You
see.
just used my quote.
Did I?
My quote.
What's your
I
quote?
have, no, my quote is well, I always used to say, this was my answer to every single political question anybody else ever asked me, was I always said, as long as you're not hurting anybody else or yourself, I don't care what you do. That was my quote, because people used to always ask me on like these political issues what my take was, and I don't really like to get into the politics of a lot of things.
Same.
Because if I'm being honest, I have very weak opinion, I would say I have weak opinions about it. Because
I don't
like,
think it's weak opinions. It's more so uninformed opinions. You just
yeah,
don't
that's
know
true.
a lot.
I don't know a lot about it, and also like I feel like it doesn't have enough like effect on my life for me to really put in time to really care about it. I think someday down the line I'll become I'll become a politically heavy person. But at this point in time, I don't know anything about politics. I don't really think about it. So I always just say, hey, as long as it's not hurting me or anybody else, I don't really care. And I think that you should feel the same way about your own life, man. Do the things that you want, believe the things that you want, as long as you're not hurting people, man.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy. That's what it means to be fulfilled, is to do the things that you actually enjoy, the things that genuinely put a smile on your face. And the big idea, man, is the small ideas. That's the reality. Is that, think about the fact that it was cars and the sun that made you feel happy about
That's
a cat.
actually so
Right?
so crazy.
Like, let's break that down. 3 cars and a sun. You see 1 million cars a day. You see the sun every single second of the day. And yet, that day, those circumstances were enough to put you in a great mood.
Yep.
So think about how many interactions you have on a daily basis. Not just with people, with objects, with beautiful things. Think about how many beautiful flowers you walk by that you never really looked at. Think about how many beautiful people you walk by but you never spoke to. Think about all the beauty that there is in the world. And look at how much it can change. Think about that. 3 cars and a sun was all it did for this guy.
Yep.
3 cars and a sun. And you mean to tell me you can find nothing? Come on, guys.
Man,
You can do better.
There is so much to be happy about. And it's funny because on the last episode, we talked about being creative and spontaneous and doing something random. Let me tell you guys, we got up to some random shenanigans today. Super random. And to those of you that follow the Instagram, you'll already know this story. If you don't, I did actually post this on the story. So if you want, go check out our Instagram. It is linked in the description of our channel. That and the TikTok are also linked there. So go check it out. But I posted a picture of me and the boys because right after my exam, I kind of just went on a side quest with my boy Raj. Shout out the GOAT, absolute legend. I just went on a side quest with him. We ended up at like this fair. We walked around. Before it was even open, we were just walking around talking to people there and just inspecting the games because there were a bunch of people who were like actually doing their job there, like inspecting the games to make sure that it was safe to go on the rides and stuff. And we just walked around with them and kind of looked around. I don't know if we were really allowed to do that. And then Raj has such crazy social skills and a lack of anxiety when it comes to asking people questions. He walked up to these people who were organizing the games. I was like, hey, can I ask you guys a question? And then they're like, yeah, what's up? He's like, do you guys mind if we just played the basketball game for the carnival, not for any points or anything or for the stuffy? Do you mind if we just play it? They're like, no, we're not even open, dude. He's like, come on, let me just test the machine to make sure it works. And they're like, nah, man, that's all good. And he's like, all right, bro, have a good day. And then we just walked away. I'm laughing. I'm dying laughing.
That's awesome,
Anyways,
man.
it was side tangent aside. After that, we picked up our boy Kevin. Shout out Kevin as well. And we went and got pizza and milkshakes and posted it on the story. So if you guys haven't seen, go check it out. It was awesome. It was so much fun. And we're sitting there eating pizza, laughing and having a good time. And then after that, we went and played table tennis for like 2 hours. And then me and Raj played pool as well. And we just missed every single shot. Generational losses in pool today. Oh my God, dude. If you were there, you would have been on the ground laughing. I'm not even joking. There was about 6 times I was on the floor laughing from how bad we missed. We sunk the cue ball, I think, 7 times in like 5 or... No, actually, we sunk it like 5 times in one game, I believe.
That's ridiculous.
It was
God,
horrible.
man.
It was actually horrible. But we just couldn't stop laughing. It was hilarious. It was so much fun. Man, go out there and spend time with your friends. Go out there, enjoy the sunshine, find a flower, find a cool rock, man. Literally anything that will make you happy. This world is so big, bro. There's so much stuff here. You know, the funny thing is, I was going to say this world is so massive, but then I knew you'd look at me with a face. See, that's exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
Anyways, point is, man, there's so many things out there in this world. that you can appreciate, that you can enjoy, and find reasons to smile.
Absolutely, man. And I think that's a beautiful way to cap off this episode. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end of the Brighter Horizons podcast. But before you guys know, y'all already know what time it is. It is time for Quote
Of
the
Week.
Herum.
Quote of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Dreams become reality when thoughts become action. And that is a quote from the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Tracy. Now, we've talked about Brian Tracy. Actually, I don't know if I've mentioned him on the
No idea who
podcast.
Brian Tracy is.
Buddy, I literally did a whole speech about this guy last week. To you and Eric and Kevin. Remember I talked about the mental diet?
Yeah.
So Brian Tracy is a very, very well-known, I guess you'd call him an entrepreneur, and he teaches a lot of people about the power of the mind and ways to change their life. But one of the biggest things for him is what you focus on becomes reality. And that's to say that change begins in the mind, right? You have to first switch your mentality. And that's why I said the first step to managing a busy life and being more successful is believing you can do it. First, it's got to happen up here. But once it happens up here, you got to translate it into action. Find plans to implement things, build schedules, manage your busy life. Once you turn those thoughts into action, you build this crazy life that you dreamed of for years. And it'll all happen over time. It might not happen quickly, but man, let me tell you, those dreams will become reality one day. And I wish all of you the best in achieving those dreams.
Thank you guys once again for sticking around to the very end of episode 63 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. We appreciate you guys more than you could ever imagine. Now understand that it's all about the little wins, that the little things can bring the biggest sunshines. Understand that despite being busy, you can still make some time to make things work. Put in the efforts to be successful and to be happy, and make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.